So I've been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33 for about 15 going on 20 hours now, and I feel like I've been transported back to the time when I was a little kid and could just get completely lost in my video games. And what's funny is I thought this would happen with Oblivion this week, but who knew that this random game that wasn't even on my radar would turn out to be so good. But before I jump into my first impressions with this game, I just want to share a little bit of the story for background. So there might be some very minor spoilers from the first act of gameplay, maybe the first 5 hours or so. Nothing major. I'll avoid anything too big, but I gotta say enough to at least give the setting. So there's this big paintress, and every year she paints a number. And every year, number go down. And if your age happens to be that number, well, you just disappear. You just die. That's it. It's over. Once your age counts down, you disappear forever. So last year, everybody that was 34 was around. They all gather up at a spot to look at the 34, drop down to 33, and poof, everybody 34 is gone. Completely gone. And so there's these things called expeditions. And this expedition in this game, the main expedition, happens to be called 33. Because the expeditions are named after the number that is currently going away. All right. The number, the age that are dying, that is the name of the expedition number. And to me, this is just such a unique setup. I'm sure this has been done somewhere before, but I've never encountered a story like this. And this is wild, bro. And I used to think that Final Fantasy VIII's intro was like one of the hardest in gaming. Because it was. If you haven't seen the Final Fantasy VIII intro, go open up your YouTube, watch the Final Fantasy VIII intro, because it is amazing. But this opening 30 minutes, 15 minutes, however long it was till you get to Act 1, I don't even know what to say. Absolute cinema. Amazing. I was hooked from the prologue onward. It's the game's just been insane. Now to touch on combat a bit, combat's turn-based, but they throw in some quick time events that have you feeling like you're playing a Souls-like game. There's dodges and parries, and I died a lot, so a very similar experience to a Souls-like game. But at some point, it starts to click, usually after you died a bunch. But then once it clicks, you're just vibing. You're just going through, you're parrying, you're dodging, you're playing like a pro. But I still die a lot. And the monsters do that annoying thing where they do like 80 pump fakes before they actually hit you. Like they wind up and then, oh no, I'm not going to hit you this time. Oh no, I'm not going to hit you this time. Oh! And they do like a little cheesy jab or something. They do that in this game too. And that's very frustrating. I find that to be frustrating in any game that's in, whether it be Elden Ring, a Dark Souls, any Souls, like fucking Metroid. That is the most horrible mechanic, and Path of Exile 2 was doing. They need to get that out of all games. There's no reason why an attack should have a crazy spindly wind up that doesn't in any way make sense that the monsters do when they swing at you, right? It should at least be a feasible attack. So that way my brain isn't breaking trying to understand when to parry. And not to spoil too much, or not to say too much, but there are some very annoying parry encounters in this game. I think it's a fresh take on turn-based, though. It brings you back to the days of Super Mario RPG. I see a lot of people compare it to that. To me, it's like a blend of Persona and Elden Ring. Like you mash those two together and you get a Clair Obscur Expedition 33. There's a little bit of spice thrown in there. It works. It's really good. It's addicting. I like it. I'm a fan of the combat in the game. Like, I think this is what Final Fantasy XVI's combat should have been. They should have leaned hard into sticking to the classic turn-based system that everybody enjoys and just giving it a fresh take, but you know, that's a separate video. The progression system's good too. You get weapons that have their own passives and scalings, like weapons in Elden Ring, so you can build around your weapon, and you can respec almost any time you want in the game as long as you have an item. Abilities are learned through skill points, and each character has its own mini game that they do each fight. Every character I've used so far is fun to play. Gustav has a builder spender system. You get like 10 stacks, do big damage. Super easy. Miel has a stance space minigame where Each move puts you into a different stance, and stances have different buffs. So you have to make sure you're cycling through your stances because you can't be in the same stance twice, or you lose all stances. You become stanceless and lose the buffs and benefits of the stances. And then there's another character, Sael. She plays like a moonkin from World of Warcraft. She has like the sun and the moon, and you build sun charges and moon charges. And there's like another builder spender that she has that enhances the moves that you use with the sun and the moon. It's a whole crazy thing, and I'll let you discover the rest of that for yourself. There's also passive abilities called pictos in this game, and they can completely alter the way you play. What's cool is that when you master a picto, after using it 4 times in combat, it becomes mastered. It becomes a luminos. Once it's a luminos, it can be equipped by any character. Like, you have an amount of luminos points that are available, and you can equip any of those mastered skills and create your own build and play your team and your party the way you want. It gives a layer of complexity to building the proper team and breaking the game. While I do think this game is amazing, there are still some issues. I'm like Zorro. I have no sense of direction. When it comes to navigating around in real life, it's bad enough. But in video games where there's no real points of reference, it's even worse. There's no maps inside the instanced areas in this game, so I'm just running around in circles. They have really good level design, so when I take the side path and end up wandering around everywhere, I do end back up near the checkpoint I started at. I will just go in circles and circles, and the game encourages you to go off on every path because there's always some cool mini boss or item that's there that's good. The game rewards you for going to the off the beaten path every time. I just happen to get lost every time. And I don't think this game's a JRPG because it's not Japanese, but it plays like a JRPG, especially when you jump. For some reason, they brought over the most disgusting jump in gaming. JRPGs have horrible jumps, and for some reason they want you to use these jumps, and I feel like they think it's good, but then they design little jumping puzzles around this horrible jump, and it is a nightmare. I don't know what it is about JRPGs and their jump, right? I have a beef with JRPGs and their jump. They're bad in every single one of them. Dragon Quest, Final Fantasies that incorporated the jump. What's the other one with they just made the remake on the Switch? I can't even think of the name of it. Horrible jump, though. Pretty much any JRPG you can think of that has a jump in it is a horrible jump. And they brought that same jump into Expedition 33, and I am disappointed. It's a better-ish version of a shit jump, but at the end of the day, it's still a shit jump. And there's jumping puzzles, so it becomes an even shittier jump and a frustrating experience. You can't save when you want to. The game has a pretty good autosave. I'm never too far away from a boss if I die, and I die a lot. But I can never be right there on the boss. You know how you drop a save right in front of the boss and just try again and again. So sometimes you'll end up having to do like a little hike back, or what's really frustrating is when you changed your party out, or an item, you change something before fighting the boss, and the save is before that. So if you die and you go back to the boss, and then you're fighting them with the old gear or old party member you had in, and you're like, oh, and you die because of that. And then every time you die afterwards, you have to swap the party member or the item or whatever it was. Every single time. It's so tedious, especially when there's no checkpoint flag to touch to kind of force the game to save, and you're just there. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. You should definitely be able to hard save. And if you guys can't tell, I die a lot in this game. And I kind of touched on it earlier, but the monsters do those pump fakes, man. Those winding feints that are in no way feasible, that make no sense, where they're like leaping through the air, doing 2 front flips and have 3 hands out, and 2 of the hands are faking and one's coming in with the actual attack, and the parry timing has to be perfect while they're doing all this nonsense, bro. Like, if you were following real mechanics, the attack would have lost all power 8 flips ago. You know what I mean? 8 somersaults ago, you would have lost all the gas of that attack, all right? This little last second micro movement's not going to hurt anything, so it shouldn't do any damage, but it does. And if you miss the parry, there goes half your health, all right? Or I guess you could dodge it, but let's be real. You're going to want to parry, and there are fights where you have to dodge or parry the entire encounter. Just be ready for that. That exists. If you don't, you die. As I've gotten older, I got into the nasty habit of starting games and not finishing them. And for a long time, I told myself, maybe it was just me. I don't have time anymore. There's other things to do. I lost interest. Whatever it was, I just assumed it was part of getting older. This game completely pulled me back in. Like, my weekend just disappeared. I see myself finishing this game. I want to know what happens next. I enjoy the gameplay and I look forward to playing it. And I haven't felt this way about a game since Baldur's Gate 3. I love Baldur's Gate 3. That's probably one of my favorite games ever, next to Final Fantasy 7 and Metal Gear Solid. You should never listen to anybody talk about a video game unless you know their favorite games, by the way. But that's it for now. Once I finish the game, I'll make a video sharing more of my thoughts. But like I said earlier, I'm about 15 to 20 hours in, so I got some gaming to do, and I'm going to go back to playing now. So I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.